for the third time today. Welcome to a bonus episode of Sincerely Sabrina podcast. Welcome to all of the returning listeners. And hello to all of my new listeners. If you haven't been here yet, welcome to the sisterhood. I'm excited that you're here, and I can't wait till we become friends. Today's episode goes out to all the girlies who didn't create their content today, who didn't put in any effort studying for whatever upcoming exam you have, to the ones out there who have yet to start their business, start their YouTube channel, who have not released their song. What are you waiting for? Now, if you haven't guessed already, this bonus episode podcast topic is going to be procrastination. Now, I know that's a familiar term for everybody. We'll just start with the definition of procrastination. And basically, it is the act of putting something off due to an underlying problem or feeling. And then I have like another sub definition here. It's a force that inhibits you from following through with what you set out to do. Now, there is a stigma of, things that we're currently doing and what we should be doing. Now, are we sitting on our phone scrolling? Or are we using that scrolling time to find inspiration so we can make the content that we were intending to make in the first place before we got distracted? Now, if any of you are confined to the shackles of procrastination like me, you're consistently asking yourself, where do I start? How do I start? My first piece of advice here is just freaking start, man. There's no hard timeline of when you should do something, obviously, unless it's like, a big work project or a school assignment that does have a hard end deadline. So then, yes, that is when you should put a start deadline on it. But from what I can tell you from my experience is that the longer that you keep an idea, the longer you're putting off your growth, progress, and success. And in this case, procrastination is truly the enemy of our future self. Now I'll pause so you can soak all of that in. But I found that procrastination really only holds the power that you give it. So if you don't play into procrastination, then you're golden. Then you have unlocked the key to success and you were just doing it. But obviously that's not the case. You clicked on this podcast episode because you're probably stuck in a funk, or you're putting off whatever you need to do. Or, maybe you're finally tackling the laundry that you meant to a couple weeks ago, and you're listening to this podcast while doing the procrastinated laundry, which is also fine. I have statistics here that I jotted down, which I thought were interesting. It says that 95% of people, meaning adults, 18 years and older, procrastinate. Now, of those 95%, 50% of college students procrastinate in a consistent and chronic manner. I guess I fit both of those categories, being an adult over 18 and a college student. Now, with procrastination, I think that subconscious, unconscious, whatever conscious trauma that you're having really is the trigger point for procrastination. If something is making you feel stressed, anxious, fearful, or any other emotion other than happy and content, then you're probably likely to put said task or project at the bottom of your priority list. Now, I have a few tips and tricks that I have used in the past year or so that have really helped me beat procrastination, and really helped with avoiding burnout. Now, I say that because the first podcast episode that I recorded today was about avoiding burnout. And I think that procrastinating all of the things that you really need to get done can also lead to burnout or a quicker burnout. One second, I have to take a sip of water. Sorry about that. But if your to-do list is becoming so long and unmanageable, you're definitely going to get stuck in feeling like you're never going to get caught up. You're going to be unaccomplished, and it's just going to lead to quicker burnout. So, I guess this episode can be attached to the other episode. If you feel like you are a victim of procrastination and you are also on your way to burnout, hopefully these 2 podcast episodes will help you out a little bit. But here are a couple things that I have found helpful, again, in no particular order. So first off, recognize what you are procrastinating. What is the task that you are putting off? Are you putting off starting your business, starting your YouTube channel because you're fearful of what other people think? Are you scared to start your ASMR channel because certain people might come across it and you don't know how they're going to receive that information that you do this type of thing? I too had those fears, still also currently have those fears of like what other people are going to think of my content. But here I am, still grinding it out, working through all the obstacles that are put in front of me. And once you've recognized what you've been putting off, write it down. Then identify why you're procrastinating this action or this task. Like I said, it stems from a negative emotion. So, again, putting these 2 examples. For school, I often procrastinate studying. Now, within the past year, I have learned what it takes for my brain to learn the best and the time frame it takes for my brain to really absorb the information. In undergrad, I was able to cram and pull all-nighters, and that is just not going to work when you're in grad school. And I also have very bad test anxiety. So I think realizing that how much I don't want to take my exam and how much I don't enjoy studying really leads me to procrastinate. But I do forget why I'm here in the first place. I need to study because I'm here to receive a higher degree. Am I right? And I think it's important to also keep in mind your end result. Hello, you're here to get your Pharm D. So stop procrastinating it, because the more I procrastinate, the more behind I'm going to feel, the more anxiety and stress I'm going to have come exam day, and just overthinking starts to happen, and I'm even further away from the goal at hand. Now, with other things, such as, I don't know, let's give a content creating example for those of you in the content creating field. I also often put off making the reel or the TikTok. And at first I used to put it off because I used to think, I don't have time for that. My life and my schedule, I just can't fit that in. No, actually, you can. With all of these crazy ass algorithms these days, it is so easy to become successful on social media. And I'm telling you, people are amused and entertained by just the simplest things. Whether it's a rant in your car or you getting ready in the morning, people love that shit. So don't hold yourself back. Just do it, like Shia LaBeouf says. Moving on. After you've recognized what you're procrastinating and why you're procrastinating this said task, project, or action, just take the action. Well, okay, let's rewind that for a second. Make a to-do list with the action on it, then take the action so you can cross it off. So I know you guys probably hear this a lot of times when you're feeling stressed or anxious or whatever, and maybe your therapist or advisor or mentor might tell you, make a list of things that you have to get done and cross them off as you go. Okay, yes, this method can be effective, but it can also maybe create a bigger problem of avoidance if you choose to do small, minuscule tasks, such as, laundry, dishes, organizing your room. And sometimes we do that because we want to feel accomplished, and your brain can get that temporary satisfaction or the quick reward that you completed some tasks. But at the end of the day, when you look at that list, you're like, okay, well, none of my bigger, more important projects didn't get done. And you might have the outlook of like, okay, well, tomorrow is a new day and I'll get to it tomorrow. Well, I promise you tomorrow you're going to say the same thing. And then it becomes a cycle of repetition, of putting things off. And you don't want to do that. So once you've made your to-do list, I like to categorize my things from highest priority to things that are less important. Now, obviously all of my school assignments are going to be first because there are hard deadlines for those things. So those just are a must at the top. And I do talk about giving yourself grace in previous podcast episodes. So here is where the minuscule tasks, such as your house chores, you can give yourself grace. It's okay to have 2 baskets of laundry sitting in your room and living out of a basket sometimes. It's fine. It's okay to have a few dishes in the sink for a couple days until you can get to them. And sometimes mentally, I do have to straighten up here or there so that my life doesn't feel messy. But if you don't procrastinate and get to all of the things and finish your day before it even gets started, then you won't feel that way at all. You won't feel messy, you won't feel behind, and you won't feel stressed out. And another thing that I have found helpful in these procrastinating times is setting timers for myself. So when I find that my brain is very distracted, I like to set my timer for 30 minutes minimum, or an hour to an hour 30 tops. Then, once that timer is going, I put my phone away, and I do have a MacBook, and I do have an iPad and iPhone, and all of my messages and everything are linked, whatever. I think that it's super important to not have your message notifications on your laptop screen if you are working. Because every time a little notification pops up, that is just another flag of distraction that your brain is going to get sidetracked from doing whatever you're doing. So set a timer for yourself so you don't get distracted, and just see how much quality work that you can produce within that time limit before your alarm goes off. And I promise you, after each time your alarm goes off, like, maybe it will get annoying hearing this alarm multiple times a day, but you will also see your to-do list get smaller. So, yeah. Also, with procrastination, again, referring to a previous podcast episode, I talk about how the brain works at different hours of the day. And it also applies here, really, when you think about it. Since our brains are more alert and attentive in the morning, maybe use the morning time to get all the strenuous tasks done. And then by the afternoon and evening, use the remainder of your energy to get smaller tasks done. Now, going into energy and procrastination. Exerting your energy doing something you don't want to do can be draining, but if you're a person like me who has a glass half full perspective on everything, you'll start to see that with accomplishing these bigger tasks and projects throughout the day, your morale will be boosted. You'll feel more motivated to do things, and you'll find it quicker to start getting stuff done because you've already accomplished so much already. And I don't like to use the word motivated and motivation and whatever, because motivation can wear off and procrastination can linger. Now, if you let these two things take over your life, you will become complacent and just not do anything. You're just going to be stuck. And maybe you're comfortable with that, and that's fine. But for those of us who know that we're meant for more, procrastination is going to be your biggest enemy. I do have a couple other anti-procrastination strategies. Now, there really isn't like a step-by-step program, if you will, tackling procrastination. I think just really realizing the root cause and the root emotion that's really inhibiting you from doing these things is going to be the key to really grabbing the bull by the balls and tackling procrastination. And I think too, with procrastination, like, we kind of get it confused with overthinking and perfectionism and blah, blah. Okay, I am a huge perfectionist. I used to, with like 5th grade and middle school science fair, I used to ask for an extension, not because my science fair project wasn't done. It was because it wasn't done the way I wanted it to look. We had to have like this trifold board, and I loved having the borders around the entire board and every single point that I had on there. don't do that. Like I said before, give yourself some grace. We're our biggest critic. Don't let perfectionism take over your life either. Use your fear and turn it into drive to get things accomplished. And to show like people what you're made of. Don't overthink it. Again, also with procrastination, I don't like using the word motivated, but to keep yourself going and not fall back into the procrastinating hole, be kind to yourself. Reward yourself with telling yourself how great you're doing, and remind yourself that it's not if it were easy, everybody else would be doing it. And also remind yourself to remain focused on what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve. I'm noticing with these podcast episodes, I'm a very fast reader, and I have like 3 pages of notes for each episode, and I read through them very quickly. So maybe I'll just start talking slower, but we're 21 minutes in, and I have completed everything I wanted to say about the procrastination topic, and I don't want to just keep ranting, and my brain is a little scrambled eggs since we're on the 3rd episode of the night. So with that, I think I'm just going to end it here. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. Hopefully my tips and tricks were helpful and it didn't sound like I was speaking another language. But yeah. All right. Anyway, sorry about all that mess right before we are closing it out. But hopefully you found somewhat any of the information. Hopefully you found it helpful or useful or valuable in some way, shape, or form. If you did, give it a share. Share it with your friends, your family, the guy that knows the guy who knows the guy. Anybody. It would mean a lot. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe. Depending on the platform you're listening to, you'll catch me every week on Monday with a new episode. And hey, who knows, you might also get an exclusive episode like this one. But I hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and I'll see you next Monday. Sincerely, Sabrina.